Welcome to the Women in Worth Leading Voices. This is a monthly series taking place on the third Wednesday of the month, where we bring you face-to-face with women who are taking the charge when it comes to building a more equitable economy for women. Through our community and events, Women in Worth provides access to groundbreaking business leaders, innovative female founders, and industry experts. To discover more about Women in Worth in our community, you can visit us online at worth.com. I am Laura Nix Gerson. I am the director of Women in Worth, and today we're talking about investing in young women through mentorship with leading voice, Illana Raia. Hi, Illana.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad you're here. I have to tell everyone a little bit about you. So Illana has quite an illustrious bio. She's one of the first 250 entrepreneurs on the Forbes Next 1000 list. She's the founder and CEO of Etra, a mentorship platform for girls. Believing that mentors matter as early as middle school, which we know, Illana brings girls directly into companies they select to meet female founders face to face. I can't wait to get into that and talk about that. Her book, Etra, Girls, Who Do You Want to Be, was released on the Day of the Girl in 2019. And her second book, The Epic Mentor Guide, right here, arrived on International Women's Day 2022. Prior to launching Etra, Illana was a corporate attorney at Skadden Arps. Illana is a member of the International Space Station. So cool. The U.S. National Lab Education Subcommittee. And she serves on the National Girls Collaborative Champions Board. Welcome, Illana. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be fun.
Especially during National Mentoring Month. I mean, this could
right?
be perfect.
This is the perfect time to kick off this conversation with National Mentorship Month. Boy, that's a mouthful. National Mentorship Month. There you go. And I'm glad you said that because, you know, with it being the beginning of the new year and in honor of this month, that was the whole reason we thought this is the right time, the best time for this conversation. And I wanted to kind of start off with one of the things that you said, which is the confidence we're seeing when girls raise their hands in boardrooms isn't anecdotal. It's essential. If we want more women in boardrooms, we need to save seats for girls, and middle school is not too young to start. And that's a great deal of our philosophy at Women in Worth and what we're looking to accomplish as well, championing conversations around these very topics that help us lead women in their career path and build more equitable opportunities and financial opportunities and growth for young women and for women throughout their career. So, okay, here's a question for you in light of this. How do you define mentorship, and what do you think makes a good mentor?
So to me, I love that question. And I actually love too the focus that Worth has on mentorship and inspiring women early. I think it's something that really draws me to Worth. And I love the fact that girls as early as high school or college actually are using your resources and have author pages on Worth. And so I truly do appreciate the fact that Worth refuses to underestimate girls, which is a big part of Etra's, saying we're not going to sell your goals short. We have mentors for you. So I really do appreciate that about Worth. To me, a good mentor is an active, engaged mentor. I get that question, what's the difference between a role model and a mentor? And in the professional world, we use these words, a champion, a sponsor, a mentor, and it can all mean different things. A mentor to me is someone who invests her time, her energy. The mentorship relationship can be long. It could span a whole career or your whole college experience, or it can be short. It can be an impactful mentor moment. But it is more than simply holding someone up as an example, like a role model, but you're not engaged. A mentor is not an example. A mentor is a springboard. Someone who's going to say, I'm going to invest all of this time and energy in you. I'm going to challenge your assumptions, and I'm going to really springboard you out of your comfort zone and towards your goals. That to me makes a great mentor.
Well, and you would talk about that a lot in this new book, and we're going to get into that in a minute. You know, it's funny because I've shared an example with you yesterday. Reese Witherspoon had posted something on Instagram, which was just a shareable moment, and it was just a comment that she had made to a young woman who had asked her a question. And it was a good teachable moment, perfect example of what you're talking about. So for you personally, I'm curious, what kind of mentorship have you received that motivated you to do what you're doing today?
I was incredibly lucky with the mentors that I had. As you mentioned, I was a corporate attorney at Skadden Arps for a long time. I was there 5 years early in my career. Then I actually took 6 years off when my kids were small, and then went back for another 10 years. So all at the same firm, and the mentorship I had throughout as a junior attorney, as a more senior person. Again, the fact that people would say, you're a first year, but if you can do the work of a third year, we're going to let you do it. People who refuse to limit you or put you in a box, that's really what made me curious and motivated and made me love my job so much. So whether it was people at Skadden at an early age, my grandmother was a lawyer in 1936. And so having her as an example for me was incredible and inspiring me, and really going to watch her in action and see what she did. I will say, though, that on the peer mentorship level, my girlfriends around me, the women who are opening the boardroom doors to us, that's a form of mentorship too, because as the girls are watching what they're doing, I get to watch what they're doing and hear their advice. And then surely the girls are mentorship. If you want to talk about reverse mentors, the girls that I work with inspire me every single day. So many of the great ideas that have come from ETRA came directly from the girls, whether it's after school clubs or a particular company they wanted to visit. Things I never would have thought of came from the girls. So they mentor me as well.
Well, and I think one girl in particular was an inspiration behind why you started ETRA and kind of the story of how it came to be. So tell me about that, and tell me about what is ETRA. Can you tell us more about the organization itself?
Yes, all things I love to talk about.
Yes.
The girl you're referring to is my daughter. And when I was a corporate attorney at Skadden, I did mergers and acquisitions. And I realized when she was in middle school that she didn't know what I did every day. But it is hard to explain mergers and acquisitions to someone in middle school. So I didn't think too much about it. But the more I talked with her and her friends, I realized they did not know what a lot of their mothers who had accomplished jobs, they didn't know what they did every day. And so part of my inspiration in starting ETRA was the fact that I was taking my daughter as early as middle school to see my friends where they worked. Let's go spend 15 minutes and see what it's like to run a surgical floor or run a fashion house or be a CEO. And I was lucky that I had that network, to expose her to. And she found it truly impactful. And when I retired from Skadden, I thought I loved the idea of mentorship. I love the idea of showing girls early what it's possible to be, and not simply if they said, oh, my only interest in sports, I want to meet athletes, but showing a wide and deep bench of mentors at an early age. I like that idea. And so in 2016, I started ETRA. ETRA in French means to be. And I love the idea of asking girls, who do you want to be? And it's a distinction. I'm not asking girls what they want to be.
Right.
Because the opportunities are endless. And very likely the girls I'm meeting now, the jobs they'll have haven't even been invented yet. The industries are brand new. We don't know what area will be hot and new by the time they get to the workforce, but asking them who they want to be: smart, innovative, charitable, strong, brave. Those were the things that on the drop down of the ETRA website, I really wanted to focus on. So my daughter was the inspiration. ETRA, in a nutshell, is a mentorship platform for girls. And as you said, we take girls directly into companies that they choose. So we visit places like Google or YouTube or TikTok. We're going to NASDAQ at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And we meet female leaders face to face. And the best part about it for me is when you spoke about the confidence we see in the boardrooms, and it's not anecdotal. When girls walk into a boardroom and an executive or an athlete or an astronaut or whoever we're meeting looks them squarely in the eye and says, this is your meeting. This is your room. I refuse to underestimate your goals. What do you want to know? That's the moment when those girls throw their hand up and they raise their hands to ask questions. And you get to see them raise their hands instead of lowering their standards. And that, to me, is the heart of what we're trying to do at ETRA.
So how does the program work? How do girls get involved in the program?
A myriad of ways.
Okay.
A lot of girls find us on social. We are
Okay.
at Etra Girls everywhere on social. We're about 19,000 strong right now and growing every day. So quite often a girl will just DM on social, which you can do all the time, and say, I would like to start a club. I would like to be a board member. Our board is all middle and high school age girls and now moving into college because we're growing with our girls. They might say, I would like to be connected to someone who works at the space station or someone who works as a news anchor, and we can make those connections one-to-one. Our website has forms. So if they have a very specific question that they want to ask, we're a licensed TED Ed club, which started during COVID.
I love that. Yeah, that's
great.
great.
Do a TED Ed talk with us. There's a form on the website. They find us on social. They find us on the website. And then through the book, when girls were asking questions for the book, that actually morphed into a continuing conversation on LinkedIn with a LinkedIn newsletter. We have the Epic Mentor newsletter now. So any girls that are old enough to be on LinkedIn, and I'm such a huge fan of LinkedIn, can send us questions directly, and then we will connect them with mentors on LinkedIn through the newsletter and answer the question. So they find us a bunch of ways, but I will say heavily on social. And social is a great place for girls to meet mentors.
And conversely, if you are a woman in a leadership role and you would like to participate in the ETRA program as well, I mean, how are you bringing in these companies and these women that they're meeting with?
Individual women are reaching out to us again on social or the website. It's etragirls.com. And there's a form there if you want to become a mentor. A lot of the time it comes from the girls. So if the girls say, we want to go to the floor of the stock exchange, I'll reach out to some women there, and women are unfailingly generous with their time and their connections. They may say, oh, I'm not the right person for this, but I know exactly who is. Hang on, let me connect you. And we've yet to have a company say no. I have yet to have a school say we won't excuse a girl for the day to go do this. And I have yet to see a company that won't do it.
It's so incredible. I'm so glad that we're all on the same page about building leadership opportunities for young women and helping them, you know, the saying that we love to say, if they can see it, they can be it, right? I feel like you've really integrated that into so much of what you're doing as well. It's changing that paradigm. If you're actually in that workspace and you can actually see what's happening, you can wrap your head around it. You can actually conceptualize and visualize yourself in that place.
It's different. We can say to our daughters or their friends or our nieces, you can be anything, think big, imagine anything. It is different to have a girl stand in the middle of Google and say to a woman, I'm scared to raise my hand in math. Have you ever felt that way? And have that woman say, I felt exactly the same way and I got over it and I'm an engineer, and come meet my team at Google. Right. And have her walk through the halls and see people at work and meet that woman's team. It is different and thrilling. And we're going to companies where the girls already have a brand affinity. They use the product, they're on the platform, they relate already to the company we're visiting. And that helps a lot too.
Well, and I think that's brings us back to the book. You know, you have, there are 180 women who responded to the questions you put out from the book.
Yeah.
And the questions came from the girls.
They did.
Which is so incredible. You know, and I love that there's even like the business of sports in here. So if you're athletic and you're trying to figure out how, you know, how is my love of sports a career? There's a question here. How did you combine your passions for sports and education when you launched Inside Lines? This was to a Toya Burleson.
Toya Burleson, yes.
I love that you've covered such a diversity of industries and opportunities. So tell me about how the book came together.
The book came about during COVID. All of a sudden, like everybody else, the world shut down. Our last live event was in LA. 9 West had reached out to us and said, Tyra Banks is our spokeswoman for the year. She'd like to do a mentorship event. So we had 10 girls in LA do a one-on-one with Tyra Banks.
Wow.
It was amazing. She was fantastic. The video's on our website. She is made for mentorship. She just was wonderful to the girls. And a minute and a half later, the world shut down. And all these companies that we had on deck to go visit, it was done. But the girls still had questions. So I just started reaching out to women at those companies. How can I get my art seen at Pixar? Well, we can't go see Pixar right now, but let me find someone who can answer your question. How do I land an internship at SpaceX? How do I use TikTok to network? and women started answering the questions. And, you know, at 50 women, it felt amazing. I was grateful for every one of them. We crossed 100 women, and it's a book. And so the women who answered, Beth O'Connell, who works with me at ETRA, and she was so fantastic about helping to sort of strategize, how does this become a book? What does it feel like and look like? And every day it was like a holiday. I would open my email and I could not believe who had said yes, because you're just sending out 5 emails a day, just 5 emails a day to get the questions answered. And Amy Corbett at Lego, and the founders of the Skim, and Katie Coleman at NASA, and they're answering girls' questions. And that conversation was so exciting and carried us through COVID and kept that momentum of putting girls in the room. Maybe they weren't in the room, they were in the Zoom, but a woman directly answered their question and then left their social media handle. One of my favorite parts about the book is every woman gave her preferred social media handle.
Oh, so, yeah, I saw that.
TikTok,
that's great.
Or LinkedIn or Twitter, wherever she has
so they
her
could reach out
presence.
to them directly.
Yes, reach out, continue asking questions. And that gave the book such a conversational feel, which I love.
That's really great. Well, I have to say, as a mother of a teenage girl, I am super excited to put this in her room and have her look through this guide as well. It's really great.
I'm delighted. It's easy to flip through. There's a table of mentors up front, or you can go alphabetically, or there's an index. You want to find out what it's like to make movies with Oprah, you look up Dawn Porter. You want to know about negotiating your first salary, you look up Lily Ledbetter. The women.
By the way, this is not age specific. I know it was driven by young women, but I feel like so many of us, even further in our career, can benefit from the words of wisdom that are collected here and from the work that you're doing.
That was a surprising counterpart to the book, was coming out of COVID, the number of women, you and I know them, pivoting, finding new jobs, reevaluating the direction in which they want to go. We're saying, I would like to know what Veronica Beard thinks I should wear to work.
Right.
You know, they absolutely had reason to use the book, even though they might have bought it for their daughter.
So true. It is so true. And I'm curious too, you commissioned a national survey at one point with YPulse.
We did.
And this, the goal of this was to quantify the confidence boost young girls receive from early access to mentors. So I'm really interested in knowing some of the key findings and some of the information that came from that study. What came out of that?
So we wanted to do the math. Is, you know, to put it in the high school, middle school speak, we wanted to do the math. I know what I see when I watch girls in a boardroom, spinning in that chair, throwing their hands up to ask questions. I see the confidence grow from the minute she walks in the room to the minute that encounter that I mentioned before takes place and she's asked directly, what do you want to know? But that could have been just anecdotal. Maybe that's just what I'm seeing with the group of girls attracted to ETRA. It's not provable yet. And I wanted to see if we could prove it. And YPulse had done the work on the study from 2018 that Confidence Code did. If you remember that stat, girls' confidence drops by 30% at age 14. And so I knew that they had access to the field that we wanted. And I liked the idea of mirroring that question. The first question we asked, and we reached out to Confidence Code and Claire Shipman to ask directly, girls' confidence 5 years ago, where does it stand today? We've been through a pandemic. Gender identification is very different now. What does the state of girls' confidence look like today? And so we commissioned the study. It came out in October, Day of the Girl in 2022. And what we found was that girls today at 14 are 20% more confident than they were 5 years ago. So that's the good news. The bad news is that confidence dropped sharply between the ages of 14 and 18. And we noticed it again and again with different questions that we asked. At age 13, 42% of the girls said that they identified as smart. And that number dropped to 28% by age 18.
Wow.
36% would say they were confident, and that dropped to 23% at 18. But we're back to the good news. 86% of the girls said they would feel more confident with a mentor. 86%.
And did the study say why the confidence drops from the younger age to the older age? Like, what are the things that are influencing this or not influencing it?
There are so many reasons that you can point to, right? This is the age where you go from middle school to high school, and then you're getting ready for college. This is the age where you might be on social media more and not sure how to handle it. The peer pressure is dramatic. But what girls were saying time and time again, we broke it down into 3 verticals. We looked specifically at finance, STEM, and sports.
Mhm.
And 93% of girls thought that a mentor would boost their confidence in finance. 92% said that in STEM. 77% said it in sports. And what was interesting was where they wanted to find mentors. And it's back to social media. 78% of the girls said that they would follow someone that they thought could be a mentor or a role model on social. And 71% said they would DM a mentor on social. So here we are proving that girls see that someone who takes an active interest in them and is an expert in that which they want to become better at, they want that mentorship. And 13 and 14 is not too early for them to want it and to recognize that it would push them out of their comfort zones. You know, they talked about they'd be more likely to enter a science fair. They'd be more likely to enter a mathalon or try out for that travel team that's ahead. They'd be more likely to try for scarier goals with a mentor at their back.
I believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we'd all, it's like having a personal, not really a coach, but just knowing that you have a resource and some insight into what it is you want to achieve. I think that's super helpful. I'm curious about, oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying it was gratifying to see the results, not just because it proved what we were doing, but I actually really liked hearing about how the girls defined a mentor, what they thought made a mentor valuable. You know, that was also interesting and illuminating for us.
Are there any stories about specific experiences you can share with us? Like, I'd love to hear about some of the young women who've gone through the program and what some of the responses have been or the results have been. I mean, we're thrilled to be partnering with ETRE and having, we have 3 young women writing for us this year, which is tremendous. But, you know, I'm sure there's some stories. I would love to hear some.
You know, they're amazing stories and they range from, you know, a mom will pull me aside as we're getting on the bus and say, look, she's very shy. She's really not going to speak. She doesn't know anyone going on this visit, but she really, really wants to see YouTube. Inevitably, that's the girl that the minute we walk in the door, her hand is up the whole time. She's asking insightful, perceptive questions. The way they blossom when they get in there and they're taken seriously. I see that story time and time again, and I love it. We're growing with the girls, which is nice. So girls who may have visited a place like Goldman Sachs when she was a freshman in high school, now is reaching out saying, could I reach out to that woman that we met? I'd love to have her take a look at my LinkedIn profile. And time again, that woman says, of course, send it to me.
That's so
You're
great.
sort of closing the loop. And I didn't know if that was going to happen or not. I didn't know if girls would stay with it through college, how we would grow. I think the other thing that surprises me in the stories I love to see now, and this is just starting, is that we've gone a little bit global, again, because of COVID. When we started doing mentor pop-ups, we call them, online, we found girls in other countries hopping on, getting up at all hours to join these Zooms. So the girls, we've got after school clubs in India and South Korea and Turkey and Canada now, and the girls are asking exactly the same questions. You might be in Turkey, you might be in Tennessee. The girls are asking exactly the same questions about LinkedIn and cover letters. And what can I ask in an interview? And am I allowed to ask about inclusion and diversity? And how do I phrase these questions? Girls across the globe have the same questions about the workforce, and women, wherever they are in their career or at whatever company, are stepping up to answer them.
That's amazing.
That is, I can't wait to see how that scales and plays out.
That's so great. I was just looking to see if we had any questions in the question area. I know, and I wanted to let everyone watching know that if you have any questions for Illana, please drop them into the chat. Illana, what advice would you give to young women who are thinking about their future careers? I mean, you as a mentor, like, what is your mentorship advice? I know that's a big question.
No, I love that question. My advice is that mentor moments matter, and that you don't have to say, this is going to be my mentor through my entire athletic career, or I want to be a physician, and so I need someone who can mentor me from day one all the way through the cycle of med school and residency. It doesn't have to work that way.
Right.
Those are grown-up concepts that do exist in a corporate setting. But right now, if you are in middle school or high school or college or anywhere pivoting in a career, it's the moments that matter. It could be one exchange that you have with someone on LinkedIn. I saw your TED Talk, it moved me. I have one question. I read your book. I'd love to follow up. Could I email you a question?
Right.
Who would you suggest I speak with to learn more about X? These moments, like the Reese Witherspoon that you sent and we posted
Right.
it on our Instagram, just do it. Ask your questions, stay curious, be unafraid to ask your question. Every other person listening probably has the same question. And every woman you are asking remembers what it's like to stand in your shoes or your high tops or your cleats and feel how you feel. So embrace that mentor moment and ask that question.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And you just got to do it.
Yeah.
I like that you're suggesting that they take, bite size. Don't be overwhelmed by the idea of it.
Mhm.
You can just ask simple questions and just reach out.
Yeah.
So
And social gives them a more protected way to do that. For all
Right.
that we worry about teens on social, mentorship is such an ideal thing to go for on social media because you don't have to be face to face if you're not ready for that. You can DM a question and see what comes back. DM an organization and ask, how can I get involved? Could I volunteer? It's a baby step towards actually planting yourself in someone's office and saying, I have a question.
I have to tell you, there's a really nice comment in here from one of the girls in your program who
Really?
is saying, yes, and she just said it helped her so much to be confident and better at so many things, which
Who
is just
that?
wonderful.
Love it.
Well, Cushy's in here. She was talking about it. So
Well, so Cushy, I love that you said that, and it makes me so happy. Cushy she's the founder of Club Etra India.
that's
So,
amazing.
Commenting from India.
Look at that. Look at this global reach and the global empowerment you've created.
She did a TED Ed talk with us this year. This is our second year being TED Ed. So if you go to our website on our TED Ed page, you will see Cushy's TED Talk talking about her book.
That's incredible.
She is incredible.
Well, Illana, you're incredible. The girls in these programs are incredible. It's such a fortunate opportunity for them. All the women that are participating and lending their voices and advice. It's just so inspiring. I just can't thank you enough for your time and your expertise today. What you're doing for young women is so important. And I really want to thank all of our attendees and I really appreciate you for joining us today for our inaugural Women in Worth Leading Voices. Our next event's taking place the third Wednesday of February on the 15th. And we'll be talking about investing at any age. We look forward to more of these events, more of these opportunities to really build engagement and conversation around issues that really matter to women as we're building our careers and opportunities for ourselves. So thank you so much for joining us today, Illana.
Thank you so much for having me.